The Philippine Hotel Owners Association and Leechiu Property Consultants recently launched the Philippine Accommodation Pipeline Report earlier this week. Now, the study provides critical information on ongoing projects in the Philippine hotel and resort sectors and the sector's current affairs. This morning, we dissect that report with Mr. Alfred Lay of Leechiu Property Consultants. Hi, Alfred. Glad you could join us. Good morning.
Good morning, Stanley. Thank you for inviting us today.
All right, it's good to have you here today for this conversation. First off, congratulations on a well-put-together report, the 2024 Philippine Accommodation Pipeline Report, which provides a snapshot of the current state of affairs when it comes to hotel accommodation and the broader tourism industry, which is its present and its future ahead. Perhaps you could tell us first about the general tone of what you found out in the study.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, before we get into the headline figures of the study, I just wanted to express our deep gratitude to the Philippine Hotel Owners Association, the various developers, hotel brands, and of course design consultants who help us put this report together. Also, the support that we had from the DOT was very much appreciated and allowed us to put something quite comprehensive.
Okay.
In terms of the headline figures, what we found is that the private sector's commitment to the hotel construction pipeline equates to about 250 billion pesos in spend on new hotels over the coming years. That equates to approximately 158 brand new hotels and in total 40,000 room keys for the industry.
Okay.
The wonderful news about all of that is that it should provide somewhere in the order of 57,000 additional jobs in direct operating capacity for employees.
Right. Now, Alfred, if you look at some of those figures from your study, I think we have a graphic, fast figures derived from the key findings, where when you talk about the pipeline, we have about 40,000 or 40,084 rooms now in development. What does this number imply when you consider the bullishness towards Philippine tourism now and in the years to come?
Well, it just shows that the large developers and mid-sized boutique and lifestyle developers are really corralling themselves around the tourism industry. There is a lot of optimism in the mid to long term for the Philippines in tourism, and so considering the time it takes to develop a hotel, many of these players are getting into the market now and really ensuring that they're finding the best locations. They're ready for when a significant increase in arrivals does come.
Okay, also derived from your study, private sector investments, as you've mentioned, in the hotel space now at 250 billion pesos, which is seen to generate 57,000 jobs once completed. You're tracking about 158 more accommodations and hotel projects. Today's biggest story, though, related to this is, of course, the rate cutting by the global central banks seen to improve liquidity in businesses. And having said that now, do you expect these numbers, your numbers in terms of pipeline development, to move further up now that, we have loosened our interest rates and companies can perhaps borrow more from banks?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, before we get to that point, I think it's important to know that these commitments for the 40,000 room keys and the 158 hotels happened during a relatively high interest rate environment.
Right,
so,
right.
As you mentioned, the news of interest rate cuts coming through, I think that is only going to bode well for new projects to come up, and we already expect to see several announcements in the coming months of new hotels that will be committed by the hotel developers.
Okay, now Alfred, when you look at your pipeline key areas, there are of course 10 destinations that you've listed, at least at the top, where a boom in accommodation projects is seen. You have Lapu-Lapu City and Bohol topping that list with Boracay, Parañaque. You have Cebu City, Clark City in Tarlac, and Clark Pampanga. Of course, you have Quezon City and the city of Manila tailing closely. What are investors looking for when choosing where to develop based on this list?
Well, look, in terms of what developers are looking for, there's a couple of key indicators to where to potentially position new hotels. Of course, being a country of 7,000 plus islands, we need to talk about accessibility. And so what's driving a lot of this development is the government's quite aggressive infrastructure spend. Of course, there's a lot of news about airports, Naia moving out to new Manila International Airport. Of course, various airport upgrades across the country. So developers are typically looking very closely at accessibility factors as one of the key areas and indicators in which to position new hotels.
And do you feel that the government might eventually catch pace? Because when you look at infrastructure development in the Philippines, in totality, there are a lot of factors playing out here. You have, of course, infrastructure, transportation, access. You have power supply and even connectivity. So are you seeing gains also on that front?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think the infrastructure improvements and commitments in the country are of a very high and large scale. And we hope actually this report helps to assist in that narrative and give guidance to various stakeholders about where infrastructure can potentially go to maximize the tourism experience for the Philippines.
Okay, now, Alfred, when you look at the list of preferred tourist destinations, which is where builders are actually, these places are the usual suspects. You have the main tourism areas in the Philippines, particularly in the Visayas and Luzon. These may soon face some form of oversaturation, if not already saturated in some parts. What is the path forward now for developers to help in terms of decentralization efforts, where development is overspilling beyond your top 10?
Well, I think it happens naturally. I mean, the market has its own forces, right? What we're starting to see in our report is that many of the large developers are looking towards second and third tier, both cities, urban cities and destinations in which to position their hotel products. I think that is excellent in terms of economic growth, spreading the prosperity, creating jobs in many far-flung locations around the country. So that will help to ease much of the concentration in certain areas, mixed in with the government's efforts to improve our infrastructure to the second and third tier cities. I think what you get is what we can achieve is certainly a decentralization of the tourism landscape.
And Alfred, what do you think? What are your thoughts on the chicken and egg situation when you talk about tourism in the Philippines? Some sectors are saying you have to put up the hotels first before people will go, or you have to develop the destination first before hotels can even expand. So how do you balance that kind of mix when you talk about developing the countryside, particularly? Because I was looking at your list. Most of your developments are in the Luzon and Visayas areas. We have so much to see in Mindanao, and yet development has been sparse in those places.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in terms of your two questions, the chicken and egg, I think San Vicente is probably a really good example of a location that was in that situation, waiting for either hotels to come or the airport to come. And, I'm going to take a sort of an on-the-fence approach to this. And I think that what's really required is a strategic sort of collaboration between both the private, public or developers and aviation industry to really identify key destinations that we can work together, okay, and roll out a strategic plan for. So we can do this hand in hand. It doesn't have to be siloed decision making. Now, when you get to Mindanao, I'm actually quite pleased with the fact that Mindanao makes up 8% of the total hotel development pipeline moving forward. And I think that over the coming months and years, as I said before, Mindanao is a great potential for future growth. And I know that the developers are doing a lot of work to explore locations in Mindanao for hotel development.
Okay, Alfred, I want to talk about market segmentation now and target markets for a lot of these developments. I mean, are you seeing a good mix in terms of developments intended for various price points? What insight perhaps did you derive from your study about the tourism market segmentation and the kind of development that caters to these markets?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it depends on which region of the country you look at. So in Luzon, you know, of course, NCR being the economic hub of the country, and we also have, you know, quite a lot of developments in both Clark and New Clark City. The NCR accounts for about 8,000 keys. And so very much Luzon is driven by business tourism. There's more and more growing efforts to develop hotels within the 2 to 3 hour driving range from Metro Manila.
Yeah.
I think that's a great improvement, and we're excited to see the road infrastructure improve, going both to the north and to the south, and you'll see developments there. Visayas, with you know, its many options in terms of leisure products, not just Cebu. You know, we're talking about Mactan, Panglao, Boracay featured very heavily in the report. And you know, if this country is to realize its tourism potential, I think the Visayas leisure market is really going to be the center of that story. So we look to the Visayas region for exciting growth. There's a lot of leisure, sort of the higher end products there, which you know, which are attractive to the regional Asian market. And in terms of Mindanao, you know, it's still a developing market, and so the hotels that are coming in Davao are really filling the gaps that of opportunities that are available in both either Davao or there's a lot of keys that are coming from Siargao as well.
Okay, because the reason I'm asking is because I'm wondering which would be more profitable to developers when you talk about the kind of facilities that they put up. Is it the high-end market or the lower end or the mid-range? Because currently we're also seeing many alternative accommodation developments, Alfred, such as condotels. This came out in your study. These are intended for private or individual ownership, but units are operated like hotels. Now, how is this accelerating the real estate developments in the Philippines, where builders can target both residential and commercial markets?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you mentioned the interest rate environment at the moment. Of course, that's being pared back now, but the condotel model really helps developers to generate earlier cash flows in their developments and their projects. On the flip side, what it allows individual buyers to do is participate in what is a boom in tourism hotel inventory or products, right? So not every sort of mom and pop investor can sort of put up a hotel. Of course, it's a very expensive proposition. But what you can do is potentially get involved via some of these condotel models and benefit from an industry which, you know, we hope will become the third leg of our economy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Alfred, we've experienced some sort of hiccup lately with the Philippine offshore gaming operations being deemed illegal now. We were talking about some impact in terms of property development and in the real estate space as a result of the ban on Pogos. How do you see that sector recovering? How do you see the hotel industry, the accommodation industry reacting and, you know, getting back on its feet following that major blow?
Yeah, look, in terms of the hotel industry and, you know, the effects of Pogo, look, unfortunately, I'm not an expert on the Pogo situation. What I will kind of say, though, is that, of course, we've had depressed arrivals of Chinese guests ever since the pandemic started, okay, ever since the lockdowns. This isn't this isn't unique to the Philippines.
Yeah.
All countries around both ASEAN and across Asia have felt the lack of Chinese travelers, and I think it's more to do with perhaps their domestic economic issues as opposed to, you know, a ban on Pogos here specifically when it comes to a tourism viewpoint.
All right. Lastly, let's talk about the challenges in the hotel and accommodation development space. What must stakeholders bear in mind if they want to figure prominently in that future? You already mentioned about infrastructure a while ago. These are some deficiencies that government needs to address right away to complement that boost. What else are the threats that you're seeing?
Absolutely. Well, going back to our report, the primary tenet of why we put this report out is to ensure that developers have the right information about where and perhaps when and at what scale they should position their hotels. So we don't want to end up in a position where, a number of developers all decide they're going to construct large numbers of room keys in a destination that perhaps is not quite ready for that situation.
Right.
Okay. So,
right.
The allocation of resources across the industry at a macro level is really important. So I think that is this report will assist developers in making those decisions.
All right. Alfred Lay of Leechiu Property Consultant, thank you so much for the insights and for joining us for this conversation this morning on Market Edge. Have a great day.
Thank you, Stanley. Take care.